And you're now looking at Marine Lake, which is the only saltwater lake in North Wales. And isn't it beautiful? So it's an ideal place to come with the family, a bit of peace and quiet. You've got shops nearby. I can see an Aldi, farm food, so you could maybe make a nice little picnic. Let's have a look at the parking prices. Fairly reasonable actually, to be fair. You can see March to October and obviously November to February, so I've paid £1 today. You can see that sign there. Now Rhyl does actually have the oldest military railway in Britain, dates all the way back to 1911. Wow. Said to be the oldest house in Rhyl, called Tin Rhyl or Tin Rhyl. And we're going to have a little look at it a little bit closer. It's part Georgian and part medieval, and it did actually appear in the Black Prince's Register as far back as the 31st of July 1351. Now I want to show you a really special feature of this house. It does operate as a B&B and restaurant. And you can see the different style of architecture that's dated. And on this beautiful door here, you've got 1672. And it really is quite fabulous. So we're just going to let ourselves in. And move on to the piece de resistance shortly, but this is the restaurant. And it's run by a very lovely couple, David and Elvira Barrett. And David's a really good, renowned chef. Lovely snug. Plenty of reading material. And a conservatory. Just imagine those warm summer months, just having maybe a light salad and a glass of wine, sitting here. Just take a look at this beautiful mantelpiece. Steeped in history. This part here, from left to right at the top, is said to have once formed the bedstead of Catherine of Aragon, Henry VIII's first wife. And you can see this mosaic in the middle there, which is called Pietra Dura. And you've got some of the symbols as well. I mean, it really is phenomenal. Now, a former resident of this house was somebody called Angarad Lloyd. And through her lineage, she's connected to Piers Griffiths of Cerris, who was a sergeant in arms to Henry VIII. So there really is a connection that moves through the years with Henry VIII, actually. We're going to keep walking round and have a look at some of the other great features that Rhyl has to offer, of which it has plenty, believe me. Just have a little look at how ornate that roundabout is. Looks great, doesn't it? Bit of blue sky as well. You can just make out the word Rhyl there in the flowers. Obviously we're well out of season now, in the middle of January, and I remember coming, I think it was last summer or maybe the summer before, and seeing this part here and being blown away with all the flowers, the arrangements, and all the hard work that the council had put into making the place look a bit better. Hey Pidge. Hello. Hello, darling. Probably thinking, what are you doing? Walking about with a camera. Get in your car. It's going to rain. So there's the railway tracks. And then continue up the coast towards Anglesey. And visit a number of beautiful places in North Wales. In 1912, Vivian Hewitt made history as the first person to fly across the Irish Sea, and guess what? They took off from Rhyl Beach that you have in front of you there. How ambitious was that? And it can be fairly unforgiving, this stretch. I'll try not to move the camera so you can enjoy these clouds and the sea and the contrast of the colours and the breakers. Hear the wind. I hope you're all snug as you're watching this, snugged up in bed, and you can only just imagine the nip in the air, because trust me, there is. And did you know that the beautiful golden sands of Rhyl have been classed as one of the cleanest beaches in the UK? There's the dragon. There's so many art installations and bits and pieces in Rhyl that at first glance you probably wouldn't notice. So let's have a closer look at this. And you can see the lights on the floor, so I bet it looks wonderful on an evening. Again, another great place to come in the summer. Maybe sit down, have your fish and chips. This is in Drift Park. You can see the Welsh spelling there. Rhyl 1794 to 2006, moments in time. Celebrating its history. I think that looks great. Look at that. How clever is that? So if you've got the kids with you, maybe you can come and have a look at these. They look rather splendid. Sometimes we just need to open our eyes a little bit more, perhaps, to what's actually there. And that's a fairly modern cinema called The Strand. And we've got a great building here called SC2 now. It cost £15 million and it replaced the Sun Centre, which a lot of you may remember growing up. It was quite famous. So there are lots of things to do as well on days like this, when it's a bit nippy and you just want to get in out the cold and do something a little bit different. And I'll just go around to the front and I'll show you the map of what's available there. Hello, so in quite a famous fish and chip shop, one of the most famous in the UK actually, given that in 2024 it was listed in the top 10 in the Times newspaper. I have ordered fish, chips and mushy peas on a meal deal. So a few more accolades, 4.5 on TripAdvisor, a Good Food Award winner, Gold Seal, Wanderlog, listed it as #1 in Denbighshire, seafood restaurant, 5-star food hygiene. So I'm expecting big things actually today. Let's see, shall we? Okay, so I didn't want to be the loud guy doing the review when people were having their lunch. So what I thought I'd do, I'd come home and do a bit of an overlay. So there you are, nice little cup of tea there. Pot, some milk. Free tartar sauce, free tomato ketchup, which is always a good thing. Not charging this 30p lark or anything. And as you can see, there is quite a bit of vinegar on my chips there. It's not grease. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a look at the chips. Now, they weren't undercooked, they weren't overcooked, they were just right, really. Bit crunchy, which is how I like my chips. Now, they do use vegetable oil, I think, rather than beef dripping, which is what I'm more used to be honest, having come from whipping myself. The mushy peas, well, standard mushy peas. Let's have a little look. There you go, as you can see. Can't really elaborate on that. It's mushy peas, but I'll have a little taste. Traditional chip shop mushy peas, very nice. And we're just going to the fish now. Now, I don't know what type of fish it was, to be fair. I'm assuming it's haddock, but it did just say fish and chips on the menu. So I'll just show you. Now, the batter was nice and crunchy and crisp. It was quite thin as well, which is always good. And you can see the fish there. It's not a bad fillet, that. Yeah, it was tasty. So there we are. Now, this whole meal was only £8.20 for fish, chips, mushy peas and the tea. Which really, if you went to Greggs or somewhere this day and age, bought a sandwich, packet of crisps, maybe a cake and a can of Coke, you're going to be doing near on that anyway. So there we are. So I think it was an absolutely brilliant choice for lunch. I was expecting to pay around about £12, £13. I'm just going to show you now by comparison prices of a fish and chip shop back home in Whitby that I like to go to, so you can just get an idea of the differential. Pretty much little wonder why this one's had so many accolades when they're offering value for money like this, and they're not sort of playing on the fact they've had all the awards and inflating the prices. So fair play, Les and Ritas. I thought it was excellent. Well done. Sure you can read that. Rhyl Lifeboat Memorial. Beautiful wooden sculpture. And look at this big wonderful open space. Look at those foreboding skies. But I'm not going to rush. I'm enjoying myself too much. Our Rhyl, there we are. One of my favourite plays was here not so long back, Blood Brothers, Willie Russell, if you know it. I believe the Proclaimers are going to be playing here this year, but you won't need to walk 500 miles. You can just come to sunny old Rhyl. Sunshine on Rhyl. And you've got the bar 1891 as well, so it's meant to be really nice actually to have a bite to eat in there. Let's have a little look at the marketing board, give you an idea. So this area at one time was where the first pier in North Wales was built, but it was demolished in 1973, having closed to the public since 1966. And so I'm just going to pop up a little advert from the Liverpool Daily Post advertising the timber from the pier. It's quite sad in a way, but they were selling it for 5p per foot, as you can see. And there's also some very, very good news for Rhyl. They are applying for £20 million to regenerate the high streets, heritage, housing, work, productivity. They're really having a go, and they're hoping that that will leverage more funds into the area. But let's be right, has had its criticism over the years, and looking at it now and looking at the work that's been done, I wouldn't say it was unfounded, but I would say that we need to give Rhyl a chance. We definitely need to give all our UK seaside resorts a chance. Let's start spending money here. Let's put it back into the British economy. So we all know there are some beautiful sights in Wales, so I'm going to leave you with this. One of many. Rhuddlan Castle in all its splendour, with the river below. And from this angle it certainly looks like something that was worth moving the river for. Until next time, please like, share, subscribe and comment.